So the topic that I've chosen today is a quote, and the quote, I'm not really sure who it comes from. There's a few people who it's attributed to, um, but I feel like it's really linked to yoga. And the quote is, "Pain is inevitable, but suffering is optional." Pain is inevitable, but suffering is optional. So I'll try and explain a little bit about where I see this coming from relating to yoga. So um, life naturally is really hard and it has its painful experiences, right? There's a lot of things that are out of our control that are really difficult and they can be painful, right? It's just the nature of life. There are ups and downs. Some of it's easier and some of it's really hard. Okay. But in yoga, we believe that it's up to us how much we suffer from these experiences. So although we cannot control which experiences we have, or often we can't, we can control how we respond to those experiences. So we can choose what kind of stories we create in our heads about these experiences. So what kind of thoughts do we have? So if something really bad happens to us, we can go into a poor me kind of mentality. Why is this happening to me? And we can dwell on the incident and we can go over the incident again and again and again in our heads. And we create stories about it. We can say, why did that person say that to me? Why don't they like me? They are really nasty to me. I need to get revenge, or whatever it might be. And we keep replaying these stories in our heads, which may or may not be true, right? So we can choose, by creating these stories in our heads, we can cause suffering on top of the pain. And the alternative from a yoga point of view is we can look for lessons in the pain. We can find compassion for ourselves and go, goodness, that was really, really hard, right? I'm going to support me. I'm going to try to learn from this. I'm going to let go of the stories. I can find gratitude for the things that are positive and for what I have, and I can find forgiveness for those who have done wrong. And sometimes that forgiveness is not always for the benefit of the other person. You don't even have to tell them you've forgiven them. But within yourself, if you forgive yourself, it can really help you to move on and not to get caught up in the stories and in this suffering. So all of this, the way that we respond to an event, however difficult, if we can start to calm the fluctuations of the mind, calm that monkey mind, and allow ourselves the ability to let go and know that was in the past, and although it was difficult, allow it to let go of it and let go of the attachments relating to it. So that's where it comes from. So that's something you can play with on your mat. That's how you can play with that in real life as well. So you're going to find a really comfortable seat. As always, we're going to sit up super tall so that the head is pressing up to the sky. The shoulders are coming away from the ears, the shoulder blades coming towards each other at the back. And you can close your eyes here. So you might, for a moment, just focus or notice on something that's been really tricky for you in the past week or the past few months, something that's really been challenging, that's been a bit painful. And you can notice what that is. Find kindness and compassion for yourself. Allow yourself to recognize that whatever stories you have created around it, they are just thoughts. And then see if you can let it go for the duration of the class. Just let it go. And as you let it go, almost as though you're feeling a little bit of weight from your shoulders and feeling just a little bit lighter without that. So it's not always as easy as that, but just notice. Notice if you can do it. Notice if that feels a little easier, and let it go. And then bring your attention to the present moment, finding mindfulness. So mindfulness is just paying attention to what's happening each moment without judgment. So finding yourself sitting up tall, feeling yourself connected with the ground, noticing any sounds around you, and also checking in with yourself. We say, hey, how are you to everybody else, but we sometimes forget to do that to ourselves. So just say, how are you to yourself, and check in and see how you are doing. And then bringing your attention to the breath. Slow, deep inhales and exhales through the nose. Slowing the breath down, filling the lungs, feeling the diaphragm expand with the exhale. Exhale, letting all of that go as the air leaves your body and the belly and the chest contract. A few more breaths like that. Again, with each inhale, breathing in some peace, some calm. And with each exhale, letting go of any of those stories, any stress relating to events, any suffering. So you can gently open your eyes. We're going to do some breath here where we're bringing the arms out. So the palms are face up to start with. And inhaling here. As you exhale, you're going to turn your hands so the pinkies, or so the palms are face up, but the pinkies are facing forward. So inhale, then facing forward as well with the palms face up. And then exhale, you're twisting them all the way around. So you can close your eyes as you do this. With your breath. Two more like that. And then opening your eyes here, releasing your arms and just noticing how they feel. You can switch the cross of your legs if you like, just to get a bit of both on top. Inhale, arms come up, and exhale, just release. Go as fast, as slow as you like. And release. You're going to take your right hand, palm facing away from you, and you're just going to grab onto your pinky finger and just slowly pull that finger in towards yourself. So we're just stretching out the wrist and finding, so you're going to work with each finger one at a time, just grabbing onto it and pulling it towards you just gently, and then going through each finger, continuing with your deep breaths, finding your thumb, also just pulling that in, and then switching hands. So palm faces away from you, starting with your pinky, and just pulling it in towards yourself. Notice how that feels. And then you can move your wrists in one direction and maybe moving them in the other. You can bring your fingers towards yourself, placing them on the ground. And then maybe even coming up onto your knees. So you've got your palms facing down on the ground, knees are up. Inhaling here. Exhaling, tongue out, bringing your attention to that third eye center, lion's breath. Inhale. Exhaling. One more time. Maybe make a big sound as you cross your eyes. Excellent. Sitting back down. This time we're inhaling, shoulders up to your ears, and then the shoulder blades come back towards each other, and exhale, just dropping them. So inhale here, shoulder blades towards each other, exhale. So there's a pause as you bring the shoulder blades towards each other. Excellent. Wonderful. And then you're just going to come onto your hands and knees here. We're going to take the left arm out to the side, reaching out. And we're just going to thread it down between the knee and the right hand. So you're just coming down onto your left shoulder. You can bring the right arm up towards the sky if you like and just reach it up. Or you can bring it behind your body and find yourself stacking those shoulders. Other options, so you can bring that arm up overhead, use your tent your fingers, and just help yourself to twist a little bit more open here. If you want to go a little bit, it's not really deeper, it's just a different pose. You can bring your right leg out to the side, pressing the whole foot down, sole of the foot down into the ground. It just changes the pose a bit. Breathing here, notice how it feels. And always checking in with your mind and seeing if it's giving yourself a hard time. Is it causing you some suffering? Can you let it go? Just notice it's just a thought and let it go without attaching. Bringing that knee back down, calming back into center. Before we go the other direction, we're just coming into puppy dog. The bottom is above the knees. You're bringing your fingers forward, chest and chin down towards the ground here. Breathing deeply. And then calming on back. This time you've got your right arm coming out to the side. You're threading it down, trying to come down on your right shoulder here. The left arm can reach up to the sky. Or you can choose to bring it around, grabbing onto that right thigh or just keeping it on the back.
All other option is bring it up overhead, tenting the fingers. And then of course, if you like, you can also bring that left foot out to the side. Taking a few breaths here. Notice how weird the pose might feel. Very asymmetrical. Breathing. And then the knee comes down. Bringing yourself back up and finding your puppy dog one more time. Slowly bringing yourself up. We're going to inhale, press that right foot up to the sky. Sole of the foot coming up. Exhale, rounding the back. Knee comes in towards the nose. Inhale, coming back up. Looking up. Exhale, rounding. Knee in towards the nose. Coming back up. Last time like this, we're just bringing into knee to nose, rounding through the back. Pressing foot up. Maybe you might press down on that left foot and the top of the left foot and just raise that knee so it's quite intense. And bringing it down. Left leg, lifting it up. Exhale, bringing knee into nose. Inhale, bring it up. Exhale, round it. One more time, pressing up. Exhale, rounding here. Pressing the foot up. And then maybe pressing down on that other leg, on the top of the foot. And lifting up, just notice how that feels. Knees come back down. You're going to turn the fingers in towards your body and just notice how that feels. You might find a little bit of movement forward and back, just taking care of those wrists today, playing a little bit with that. And then you can also turn your palms face up and play with that as well. Excellent. And it can be, you can try it any way. The fingers can come in towards each other if that feels more comfortable. Just playing here. Fingers back on the ground. Right leg comes out behind you. Exhale, bringing it between the hands here. And reaching forward, coming all the way up. We're going to then bring the hands behind the back. You can either grab onto the elbows or wherever you can on the hand, or you can come into a reverse prayer. So the idea is that we're finding a way to open through the chest. Taking a few breaths here. And you can play with lifting up on that back knee again, keeping the top of that back foot down so it's rather intense. Knee comes back down. Excellent. And then we're going to bring the arms down and reach them all the way up, coming into cactus arms here. Taking a couple of breaths. And then the hands are going to come back down. We're going to walk the foot over to the left. So we're going to come into a pigeon pose here. So just being careful, we're just starting off. So really, you can always bring that heel towards the groin as much as you need to. And you can always come into a seated figure of four if that's too much. So you're just sitting down and bringing the ankle over the knee. So just playing here, just being really gentle to begin with. And you might find that you might move back and forwards a little bit, or you might find some other movement might be helpful. And then you're trying to even your hips up here. And you may play, you might bring that back foot in, pull it in towards your body a little bit if that feels good. taking a breath, placing it down. And you might come down into a reclined pigeon pose here. So just coming down, however that feels good. Just relaxing through the jaw, relaxing through the shoulder. Taking 3 deep breaths here and checking in with your mind. See whether it's causing you any unnecessary suffering. And the first thing to be doing, or the first challenge in reducing this suffering, is noticing, just being aware of what your mind is doing or saying. So when you're done, slowly finding your way up, tucking the toes, bringing that right foot back here. And we're just going to come down onto the knees. We're going to bring the chest in between the hands, elbows squeezing in, so the butt is up in the air. And inhale, just opening into a low cobra here. So elbows are bent, squeezing into your body. And shoulders are away from your ears. Taking a moment here. Maybe you can gently look to the right or around your right shoulder if your neck's feeling comfortable enough. Inhale, coming through center. And then looking over your left shoulder here. And then tucking the toes or coming up into plank in between, and then finding downward facing dog here. So you can move in any way that you would like once you're here. Bending your knees if you need to. Just finding whatever movement you need in order to settle into the pose for maybe 2 or 3 breaths. And then the knees are going to come down here. Left leg is going to come out. And exhale, just rounding, placing that foot between the hands. Inhale, reaching the arms all the way up. And then exhale, hands to heart center. And you can work with finding that chest opening by either grabbing onto those elbows or creating a prayer pose at your back. Opening through the chest here. Deep breaths. Releasing the arms, bringing them all the way up, and then opening into cactus. So your elbows are around the height of your shoulders. Taking a few deep breaths here. And I forgot in the last one to lift through that knee, so you can play with that in this one instead. Breathing here. And then that knee can come down, the hands can come down here. And you can play with bringing that front foot over to the right side, opening up here, pigeon. And just again, you can just find a little bit of movement. Really gentle. So again, we don't actually want any pain in yoga. There might be some discomfort. So we need to find the difference between discomfort and pain, and step back if there's any pain at all. So then we can bend that back knee. It may be that you can reach it, it may be that you can't, just playing either way with it. Taking a few breaths. And then release. And you can come down, taking 3 deep breaths here. So slowly then coming on up, tucking the back toes, finding your plank. And you might even play with just flipping your one palm over and the other. Taking a breath here. Then the knees are going to come down, chest comes down, elbows squeeze in. Inhale, scooting forward, opening up through the chest here, shoulders away from the ears. Again, you can look around the shoulders, looking around the right, or it doesn't matter which first, and then go in the other direction. Lovely. And then pressing yourself back, downward facing dog. Deep breaths. Excellent. One more breath. And you're just going to walk yourself up to your hands, folding in half, allowing your head just to drop and hang. You can grab onto your elbows if you like, and just be like a rag doll and just move from side to side. Inhale, arms reach to both sides, coming all the way up, reaching here, hands touch at the top. And exhale, hands to heart center. Great. You can bring your arms up again, and this time you're going to grab onto your left arm, so the arm reaches up into the sky, and you're just going to come over to the right side, getting a nice stretch through that left body. Inhale, coming up through center. Right arm reaches up and coming over the other direction. Inhale, center. Exhale, hands to heart center here. We're going to sit down into a chair pose. So we're going to bring the arms up, sitting back. So we're trying to bring the weight into the heels. Toes might lift. Really spread them, lift them. Reach up, and maybe we'll come onto our toes and lean forward, lifting up through the heels. Maybe we'll come back up again onto our tiptoes, and then the heels are going to come down, hands come to heart center. We're going to lift that right leg up, and they find balance, and stepping it back, warrior one here. So the back foot comes down, arms can reach up again. And if you want, you can grab your elbows again or come into reverse prayer here, opening through the chest. Deep breaths. Really feel that solidness of your feet on the ground. Releasing through the arms. We're going to open up here into a warrior two. So just making any adjustments you need to. Left knee pressing a little to the left to open up here. Trying to not have your knee beyond the ankle. Finding your balance with your arms. Great. We're going to take the palms away from us and bring the thumbs in. And then then we're going to bring our fingers all around the thumbs, and so we're going to reach out in like this, and we're just as though we've got two pitchers in our hands. We're just going to pour as though we're pouring juice or whatever out from the pitchers. So just feel how that feels for the wrists. Great. And then reaching back out again. Taking a breath here. Maybe looking over the front fingers. Excellent. Now we're going to then take that right arm either to the lower back, or maybe you can grab to that left thigh. And then reaching forward with the other arm. Maybe bringing it either to the thigh or down to the ground, trying to stack those shoulders here. Deep breath. Inhale, reaching back up, and maybe coming into a reverse warrior here. Coming back, warrior two. Taking a breath here. We're going to bring the hands to the hips, turning back to the front here. And then we're going to bring with the arms coming up and reaching forward here. So you're getting length from that back heel. We're in a high lunge all the way up to the fingertips. And then the hands come down to the ground. We're going to come into a standing splits here. So the right leg comes up. Doesn't matter how high it comes. You can bend through that left leg any amount. And you might play with bringing the arms up so it's more of a balancing pose here. And then, if you want, you can bring the knee behind that left leg, Shiva squat. You can have fingers on the ground or up, lifting up on the inhale. Exhale, knee comes behind the other one. Last time, lifting up. And exhale. Finding that squat, hands come down. Right foot comes back down. Inhale, reaching all the way up. And exhale. Hands to heart center. Right leg is going to step up. We're going to probably feel this in the legs. We're coming back into a chair. Toes lift. Weight comes back into the heels. And then we're going to lift that left leg up. Stepping it back. Warrior one. Reaching the arms up. Hands touch. Exhale. Hands to heart center. We're going to bring hands behind the back, grabbing onto elbows or opposite arms, coming into reverse prayer, taking a couple of breaths here. Squaring the hips to the front. And then releasing the arms. Inhale, arms up, and then opening, warrior two. This time, we're going to work with what we did before, but we're going to do opposites. So you're going to inhale, the front palm comes up, and then the back palm is also up, but it goes the opposite direction, and then we're going to turn. So we're moving the hands with the breath, and they're kind of going the opposite directions. Our brain might be giving us a hard time and not allowing us to do it, kind of like patting your head and rubbing your stomach. Just see if you can just let go of what the brain is trying to control and just do it anyway. And release. Left arm coming back, grabbing onto that right thigh. Or just behind the back, that's all good. Inhale, reaching forward. Hand, arm on the thigh, fingers down on the ground, whatever works. You're trying to stack those shoulders regardless. Taking a couple of breaths here. Checking in with the breath, checking in with the mind. Making sure you're not giving yourself a hard time, creating suffering. Inhale, reaching back up, reversing that warrior here. Inhale, calming back, warrior two. And then the hands come to the hips, squaring the hips up at the front again. Inhale, reaching the arms up, leaning forward here. And then you're going to bring the hands to the ground. Standing splits, that left leg comes up to the sky. And maybe lifting through the arms. Taking them off the ground, maybe not. It's up to you. It depends on your balance today. It's all good, doesn't matter which happens. You can always just play with just one finger or a few fingers on the ground. Knee, then exhale, comes down, bending at the back of that leg. Inhale up. Exhale, bending here. Inhale up. Exhale, bend. Last time up. And then you're stepping back into a warrior one. Taking a breath here. And then you're going to step that left leg forward, coming into your chair pose. Last chair of the class, I promise. You're going to come onto tiptoes here. Maybe leaning forward, finding length in the back. Coming back up. Lengthening, straightening those legs, reaching those fingers up. And then heels coming down. Hands coming down, closing the eyes, palms facing away from you. Slow the breath down, slow the heartbeat down. Letting go. Really noticing your feet. Sometimes when we get into our heads, it's good way to let go of that by really paying attention to the connection of the ground with your feet. How you're connected to the universe, to the environment, to each other. And then gently opening your eyes. So we're going to play with dancer's pose a little bit here. You can bend your right leg. And then basically, to start with, you're just really pressing back into that hand. And you might go here, or you might come here. All good. The next stage then is really pressing back, trying to keep the hips even. Pressing back and seeing if you can find a little curve in your back. But it's more about the foot, I would say. So breathing here, the left arm can come up if you like. You can always have something to lean and hold on to if you need to. Taking a couple of breaths. And when you're ready, release. Finding the other direction. So again, this might just be more of a balance where you're just playing with pressing that knee a little bit back. Once you have a bit more practice, you might push back a little bit more. Breathing here, trying to keep those hips square. And release. Hands to heart center, closing the eyes. Taking a moment. Great. So we're going to then inhale here, arms reach up, and exhale, fold forward, bending at the hips, trying to get flat back on the way down. Bend your knees as much as you need to. And fold in half. Inhale, we can do another flat back here. And exhale, folding down. We're going to take that right foot back behind you. And left foot can follow. Plank pose here. Bringing your forearms down onto the ground. Forearm plank. So you might play with lifting that right leg up, moving it out to the side and making little circles here with that right leg. Placing it down, little circles with that left leg. Placing it down, Knees down, hips down, opening up here, breathing. So we're going to find some lift. You can interlace your fingers, have your index fingers forward. Index fingers up, all the other fingers interlaced. And then you're just going to bring your forehead down for a moment, heels coming towards each other, lifting up with your arms, lifting up with your legs. And release, forearms back down on the ground, forehead comes down. Taking a couple of breaths here. And then bringing the hands either side of the chest. You're just going to come back up into a plank pose. Press back, downward facing dog. We're going to inhale, coming back into plank. You can come into a side plank or a gate pose. So you can either bring your right knee down and then lift up that way, or you can come onto the outside edge of your right foot, lifting through the hips of both legs. And if you want to, you can come up in any variation. If you're in a plank, you can come into tree pose. Coming back into center, and you're going to go the other direction. So you can either have the left knee down, or bringing both hips up, reaching, lifting, and maybe playing here too. Hand comes down, you're back into plank, pressing back, downward facing dog. This time your left leg is coming between your hands, followed by your right foot. Fold forward here. Halfway lift, flat back. And then reaching arms all the way up. Exhaling, hands to heart center. Close the eyes. Pause for a moment. And then you can gently open your eyes. We'll come into a squat. And you can stay in a squat. This is perfectly wonderful, being in a squat. If you need something under your heels, you can place a cushion underneath each heel, or you can roll up your mat so it gives you a little bit more leverage. So you can play with that if you like, and you can lift up one arm or the other, or you can play with coming into your crow pose, where you're looking forward. You might use blocks or books to help you, or you can also play coming into a headstand, into tripod headstand. So it's your choice on how you want to work this, and maybe you can come back up through crow. So you're playing wherever you want to be, and if you don't want to go upside down, or you don't want to come into a balancing pose, that's also fine. Just sitting here, working with your hips. So you've got a moment to play with wherever you want to play. And then we're going to find ourselves coming down onto the knees. So you might find, so you're coming into sort of on the shins, you might find that you want to block here. We're going to come into hero's pose. So you can either have a block or books underneath you, or a cushion, and you can bring the calves, you can kind of pull them outside
top parts of your legs and the thighs. And you can open here, and so then the choices here are you can lift up through your chest here, like this, or you can come back if you're sitting down between your heels and there's no pain in your knees. You can also come down onto your forearms, opening through the chest like this, or you can come lying down, maybe bring your arms up overhead. So again, not making yourself suffering by thinking you can't do the hardest pose or the most challenging or one particular part of the pose. Just being okay with where you are. That's how we let go of that suffering and not creating problems when there are no problems. Your body is amazing regardless of which one it can do. So just letting go of that suffering. We don't need it. Those are just thoughts. So wherever you're at, pausing, and then we're going to come up and we're going to bring the right leg out. The left foot is coming in, so the sole of the foot is coming down to the ground here. We're going to take the left arm and wrap it around that leg, and maybe at the back we might find that you're going to grab onto the hands, the fingers, the wrist. Maybe you don't get there and you're grabbing onto material of what you're wearing. It really doesn't matter. The idea is that you're twisting. The right foot is up, active, and you're just looking around your right shoulder. Taking a couple of breaths. And calming back into center. You're going to take this left leg. It's in a figure of 4, just over that straightened leg. Here you can sit here with your fingers tented and just helping you get a really long spine, or you can reach up trying to get length through the back, and then just reach forward and just notice how it feels in your body. You might have a lot more flexibility where you can reach and bend all the way over the leg. That's fine. For most of us, we're probably just reaching, trying to keep that length through the back, activating through both lots of toes. Maybe reaching just a little bit further and coming up, hands touch, exhale, hands to heart center. That foot is going to come down on the outside of the foot, of the leg, and we can start off by just pressing into that left, inside of the left knee with the left arm, and so we're doing kind of an open twist here. So we're just twisting over to the right. And then coming back through center, we're going to do a closed twist. So the right arm then comes on the inside of that knee, and we're just twisting the other way, making sure that the lengthened leg is activated the foot. And twisting here. Inhale back to center, switching sides. So this time the right foot comes on the outside of that leg, activating those toes. Reaching forward, stretching around, seeing if you can bring your arm around that leg, that knee. And it may go there, it may not. And then just twisting here towards the left. So you might just be holding onto clothing, that's all fine. Breathing here. Inhale, calming back to center. Crossing that leg or the ankle over the other one. Again, you might find that bringing your fingers behind you, tented, helping you to get really straight through the back. That might be really the best place for you in this pose, and you might be getting the most out of it there. Alternatively, you can reach up and you might lengthen forward and notice where you feel this in your body. My hamstrings are really tight, so I really feel this in my hamstrings. Breathing deeply. So what happens when we feel something and it's challenging? This is when we start to make ourselves suffer a bit more, and our brains start going and giving ourselves a hard time. So allow that just to let go of any of those stories. Reaching maybe just a little bit further forward.
arms up again. Exhale, hands to heart center. That foot is now crossing over the lengthened leg. So we're coming into an open twist first, right arm on the inside of that right knee, just twisting to the left. And then we can just find the twist the other direction, using the arm to press into the knee, opening to the right, activating through that foot on the lengthened leg. And inhale, calming back through center. Arms reach up again, reaching forward, finding that length. You might find that you can stretch just a little bit further forward, or maybe you take a couple of breaths where you are and then you find a bit more space. If you're really flexible, feel free to bring your chest down to your thighs and fold all the way. Excellent. And then we're going to reach back up, hands to heart center, bringing the feet down to the ground, arms out in front, right, raising that right foot. So just the right one, trying to keep your back super straight. Maybe opening through that right arm and finding a twist. It's quite challenging. We've got lots of different things going on here. Breathing here. Inhaling, calming through center, right foot comes down, left leg raises. Taking a breath here, and then maybe finding that twist here with that left arm opening. Breathing here. Trying to keep your back straight as you twist. And coming back to center. Maybe lifting both legs. Maybe finding a twist here. Calming back. Maybe twisting the other way. Calming back. And then maybe rolling down. Trying to come down. Really in a controlled manner. Knees coming into the chest. Giving yourself a nice, compassionate, kind hug. Relieving some of that suffering. Breathing here. You can roll from side to side. You can bring your legs up the wall here. Or it's like waterfall pose. You've got no wall specifically, but it's the same pose. Pressing your lower back into the ground. And then we're going to inhale here. And exhale, the right leg just comes down, hovering off the ground. You probably feel it in your core. Breathe deeply. Inhale, bringing it up and switching the legs. Breathe. And bringing both up again. Knees coming into the chest, moving from side to side. So you can bring both knees over to the right side. We're going to come into spinal twist, left shoulder pressing down into the ground. And maybe looking over your left arm if it feels comfortable for your neck, otherwise just gazing up at the sky. And close your eyes here. Just really start to go even more deeply within. Don't forget to breathe in a controlled manner here. coming back through center, squeezing the knees in again. And then this time coming over to the right side with your arm and the knees going over to the left. Again, you can close your eyes here. Breathing and just appreciating your body and all it can do for you. Appreciating your breath and making sure each breath counts. And then coming back into center, you can give yourself a final hug here. And then gently finding your way into your resting pose, Shavasana. Shoulders pressing down into the ground, palms face up, just toes falling out to the sides. And here you can let go of controlling your breath. You can let go of controlling everything. And give yourself permission just to be. These spaces where we are just being are actually really great ways to let go of suffering. Just gives you time for you to release all that's been going on, to let any suffering go. Bring your attention back to your physical body and finding a little bit of movement in your fingers and your toes. And again, you can move your wrists in both directions, maybe ankles also. And reach your arms up overhead, finding length from fingertips to your toes.
And then maybe bring your knees in one more time, squeezing here and rolling onto your right side. You can use your right arm as a pillow. Just feeling the ground there to support you. And gently pressing yourself up into a seated pose. Finding any comfortable way of sitting that feels good, palms face up, thumbs touching. And closing your eyes, just checking in. You can ask, hey, how are you, to yourself again. Just see how you're doing. And bring your hands to heart center. We're going to do a few breathing, a few breaths, going a few more breaths than we would on inhaling, bringing the arms out and up, and exhaling, hands to heart center. But we'll do it for longer than we usually do it. So inhaling, reaching the arms out and up, and exhaling, hands, heart center. Inhale, reach. Exhale. Inhale. Exhale. Inhale. Exhale. Inhale all through the nose. Exhale. Inhale. Exhale. Inhale. Exhale. Two more like that. Inhale. Exhale. Inhale, reach. Exhale, heart center. Checking in with yourself again. Finding gratitude towards yourself for taking time for your body and for your mind today. I'm bringing the hands up to the third eye center. It's a pleasure guiding you all through your practice. Thank you for being here, for your energy. Namaste.